Hey, good evening and welcome to the Wild Cardinal Studios. This is Tony Matson along with Franklin Cash, Mitchell Swanson, and BD. We are here with just a subject that we are just so happy to be talking about. After a 10-0 season, your St. Michael's are headed to the playoffs. And we're here to talk about those playoffs. We got the South bracket up behind us here. I'll put it up on the camera for this during the show as well, on and off. But we'll be talking Wild Cardinal Network and the playoffs, which, by the way, are going to be on live Friday night, NFHS Network. We'll discuss that later. Franklin, your view about the South bracket so far, or as we got it set up, and we got St. Michael heading to Pike County. What happens after that?
Yeah, well, it looks like we'll take on the winner of Booker T. Washington or Pleasant Grove. Pleasant Grove we played last year. I think that was the second round of playoffs. And we went up there a cold Birmingham night and took care of business up there. So I'm excited. Both teams have been pretty good all season. I'm excited to play Pleasant Grove again if they make it that far.
Mitchell, how about that Oak Grove, Bullitt County?
Yeah, Oak Grove and Bullitt County. Bullitt County, I believe they've been a very good team in 4A for the past couple of years. I don't know how that one will shape out, depending on the winner of Mobile Christian, and I believe Mobile Christian plays Dale County. So I think the winner of that game will probably play Mobile Christian. Mobile Christian has been very solid this second half of the season. So I think Oak Grove, Bullitt County have a really tough test. I mean, Dale County is also a very good team, that one seed in Region 2. So I think that the winner of either Oak Grove or Bullitt County will probably be knocked out second round, because that's a tough second round matchup with either Dale County or Mobile Christian.
Give me a little bit. I was going to swing over to BD and go to that. Mobile Christian heads up to Dale County.
Well, anytime Mobile Christian is a 4 seed, that's going to be a tough out as they travel to Dale County. But the thing that concerns me is, without giving away any details, they have a two-way starter who is out for the rest of the year. And one of their other key players is banged up in a crucial position. My only concern with Mobile Christian, I love the team, I love the way they play, is the depth. And I think as the year carried on, when they had that murderous row stretch where they played Jackson, they played us, and then, they had to travel to Orange Beach, and they played W.S. Neal. It started to take a toll, and even when we played them, very competitive, but we're fortunately able to pull away. But nonetheless, a dangerous 4 seed going on the road. I actually have Mobile Christian advancing against Dale County into the next round.
Franklin, Pike County against St. Michael.
Well, St. Michael, first time in school history, 10-0 in the year. Pike County, I believe they're 5-4 in the year, not having the best year. And with the game being at home, I think St. Michael will definitely get the job done.
We'll move up to the top 8 in a second, though. But we've got our state commanding state playoff coach with us right here in Coach BD. How much does a momentum count towards the playoff season? It's a whole nother season right now. You're 0-0 really going out next week. How much does that 10-win season really count towards the playoffs?
Well, I think as a coach, you would look at it from this standpoint. You break your seasons up. Regular season, then your region games, and then playoffs. But what sticks out to me is you forget everything you've done in the past. But the momentum of playing a hard-fought game against UMS, because basically every game we've had foot on the pedal, been in the driver's seat, but we were down with 2 minutes to go, facing adversity in a tough situation. And as a coach, you ask your players, how do they respond? And I think we all know how they responded. Yeah. So that momentum right there is huge for St. Michael going into the playoffs, and I think they will ride that momentum as a wake-up call as well, get refocused, and, take care of business with Pike County. But I will say this about Pike County. Number 5, their tailback, dangerous player. Anytime he touches the ball, they're going to give it to him, whether it's running or trying to hit him out of the backfield on passing. But the quarterback, number 1, kind of the Brett Favre gunslinger type, could be interesting, but I feel good that the Cardinals will handle business at home and ride old Mo and take momentum all the way.
All right, well, let's move up to the top 8 in the bracket then. We've got Hanley as really the number 1 seed up there, taking on Bibb County. Mitchell, what do you think about that? Hanley's been playing well the last few years.
Yeah, Bibb County, I think, made it the second round of the playoffs last year. Hanley obviously played us first round. Hanley's had a great stretch these past few years in the playoffs. Hanley is definitely not a team that can be overlooked. Last year, it's sort of a young team, lost, I think, 20-something seniors from their previous senior class. So this year, they're made up of predominantly junior, sophomore, some seniors in there. But I think Hanley is one of the teams to beat in that top of the bracket. You have Jackson, obviously, and you have Tallahassee as well, and Opp. But I think W.S. Neal has the best shot out of anybody in that top part of the bracket of knocking off Jackson and making it to the semifinals, and hopefully they'll play us there. But I think Hanley's a really dangerous team, and I think Hanley's a team that you really cannot overlook.
Beginning of the season, Jackson was not expecting this. They're the number 2 seed taking on number 3 Ashford. How do you think that'll come out?
Yeah, I've really I don't know how Ashford's been going, but who was Jackson looking to play at the beginning of the season for the first round? Would they be in our spot?
They're looking for a number 1 seed,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
Home games all through last season.
yeah, of course. And then with us going 10-0 and having an amazing win against Jackson on the road, they're gonna want to get back to us in that semifinal game. So I think that's gonna be like their biggest edge is not only making it back to the state championship, but making it back to the semifinals to play us one more time because they have a really good group of seniors.
Now, I've got to pass this on to the local guy, American Christian in Tallahassee. Man, I didn't know much about them until I started looking at them. Hopefully, BD knows more than that.
I think American Christian Academy is a little too strong. They're, obviously the Region 8 winner. They defeated Oak Grove and Pleasant Grove and the teams in that area. I don't think they'll have any problem at all with Tallahassee, but underneath the Region 6 number 2 Opp hosting the Region 5 number 3 team W.S. Neal. W.S. Neal is my sleeper team in this part of the bracket, and I'll tell you why. The Batman and Robin duo of Crook and Clark, anytime those dudes touch the ball, it's bad news. And, hey, ask T.R. Miller last week. That's the first time Neal has beaten Miller in I don't know how many years.
Battle of Myrtle Creek.
They beat Mobile Christian. They turn right around. They beat W.S. Neal. And you want to talk about riding momentum? That is a team that is riding momentum. And with a few here or there, potential matchup again with Jackson or even a matchup with St. Michael in the 4th round.
Yeah, I agree. I think W.S. Neal is one of those teams that, kind of everyone overlooks them just a little bit. I mean, they're a 3 seed. They're low kind of ranked in the state for 4A. But like you said, Crook and Clark, I mean, those guys are bad news whenever they touch the ball. They gave us so many problems on defense that we couldn't handle them. And I mean, their passing attack is a little weaker than most teams. But I mean, honestly, the way they run the ball, they're not going to need much passing. It's kind of like Mobile Christian with Jason Todd Jr. I mean, you can hand the ball off to him, and he'll run for 350 yards if he wants to. So I think I really do agree with you. I think W.S. Neal is one of those teams that has a potential to make a really, really deep playoff run. They did last year. I think they made it the 2nd or 3rd round.
Yeah, they were literally 1 foot away from on that 2-point conversion against Fairfield.
That's what.
Yep, and
They played us.
Which would have forced us. And there's one other player too. I want to 2 players actually on W.S. Neal. The big 6'6" offensive tackle who was out for a lot of the year. I think is back. But also Jay Ewing, number 25. The guy plays linebacker and fullback. He is a bowling ball hammer dropper. He could play on my team any day of the week.
Well, we'll move on to the 2nd round, and the big game of the 2nd round is the way I've got it laid out. It would be Hanley against the Aggies. The Aggies would have to travel up to Hanley. Big order for them. To me, that's the game of the week. I also predicted not too many upsets other than that. American Christian winning Opp, and Mobile Christian I've got going a little bit further than a lot of people might. But I don't have BT Washington getting upset by Pleasant Grove, and I think that St. Michael can handle its way through the 2nd round pretty easily. So I'm looking at the Aggies and Hanley being the big game of that 2nd round.
Yeah,
outside of
that's
St.
going to be a really good game to watch on the NFHS.
I picked Hanley to take on Jackson. Mitchell, tell me that I'm crazy.
I don't think you are, Mr. Tony. I really don't think you are. I think Hanley has a very, very solid team. This team is well seasoned last year, obviously getting the 3rd seed in that really, really tough region they have. I believe it's St. James and all those other teams. So Hanley is kind of a similar layout as ours. A few tough teams in there, a few teams that could potentially upset them. But I think with the way Jackson's playing, I think Jackson really, really has the edge here. I mean, look at all the guys. They get Keon Chapman back, who is just an absolute stud, broke his leg in the first game. So I don't know. Depending on how well they can throw the ball, their offense has come out really, really flat-footed these past couple games, especially in our game, and that was kind of the key to where we won against Jackson. Was their offense came out slow, we came out striking, and we kept their offense off the field with those long offensive drives. And then our defense held it down on the other side of the ball, holding them into fourth downs, keeping them, making them play special teams. So I think it all depends on how Jackson comes out in the first half. If they come out flat-footed, it's a Hanley win. If they come out strong and they come out firing, it's going to be a Jackson win. So it really all depends on that first half. I think the second half will dictate itself with how the first half is played.
We're going to stick with that game and get everybody's opinion on it, actually. BD, would you bet a $2 stake on that game?
I would not be surprised if Hanley pulled off the upset. If Jackson is traveling to Hanley, and Hanley has went back to their bread and butter of running the ball out of the I formation, what is the best way to control Jackson's offense? And that's run that ball control offense, use the clock, keep them on the sidelines. But you want to talk about a team, the experience, last year, turnover. They got a heavy group of juniors, as Swansea was saying a minute ago. At home, tell me that wouldn't be one of the biggest games that Hanley's probably hosting.
Yeah.
The David/Goliath story, but I would not be surprised one bit if Hanley could pull the upset versus Jackson, because there's something misfiring about Jackson. Not sure what it is. You won a state championship. Are you content with where you were? Do you want to settle on that? Or is it, hey, let's get through the regular season. You got Chapman back.
Yeah.
Let's get the momentum, and here we go. I think that first round game against Ashford will be a telling story as to where they are.
For sure. I think another big part is how much they'll use Keon Chapman, because as we saw when we played Jackson, their running back EJ Correa had over 300 yards on the ground, but you can tell by the end of the game he was worn out. I mean, it was every other snap that he was having to come off the field or drag, get up. He was hurting a lot. And so the amount of play time that Keon Chapman will get, and the amount of balls thrown to him by Landon Duckworth. And really, it comes down to how Landon Duckworth will play. 3 interceptions against our defense are very. I think we're very good in the air. Run game we're a little trouble. But as the year has gone forward, we've gotten a lot better on the ground for the defensive side. So I think a big part of it will be how Keon Chapman plays.
I have a question for everybody here, real quick. If you're defending Jackson, how do you cover Chapman and Gordon? Because we saw what Gordon did, another outstanding playmaker. So you've got them too. How are you going to cover those guys? And you start bringing people down, then what are you going to do? Hand it to Kroll, and then you're going to hand it to the backup running back as well.
Well, that's the thing. You can't afford to double, because they have a really good tight end as well, who made a couple great plays against us. So you got to be careful on who you double. I think you double Keon Chapman 6'5". Dude's got all the length in the world, and dude can jump as high as he wants to. Landon Duckworth could probably overthrow the ball by 5 yards and he still catch it. So I think that's the person that you want to double. I don't think they're going to play Juice Gordon as much as they did against us, because they were lacking with that missing receiver. So I think they might try and throw Crowell out on some little dump passes or some little checkdowns. But I think it's you gotta put one of your second best guy on Keon Chapman, and then your safety over top, and then you got to put your best guy on Juice Gordon if he's on that field, because I think that's the best way of attack you can go with. And yes, maybe you're not necessarily having the best guy on the field, but you have that extra guy over the top. So two normally beats one, but I wouldn't be surprised with this guy if he caught 40 catches and had 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's the same way at St. Michael with all the receivers and no Moss we have in the back. Tucker Thompson, Birdie Jones. B had a great game against Jackson last week, and then Braden Smith over the top. And then you got Noah Moss. It's hard to cover that much talent on the field at one time.
Yeah, it really is. As far as Jackson and Hanley, Hanley is a top 5 defense in the state. I think they can slow them down enough to stay ahead of them. It might be wishful thinking on my part.
Yeah.
I don't know, because you don't want to play Jackson again. Not that we're afraid of him, but that guy put up 350 yards.
Yeah,
yeah.
Let's be real.
And I also think part of the game kind of depends on how Jackson's defense plays as well.
Yeah.
Jackson didn't necessarily play the best defense. They couldn't get many stops. I think we put the ball twice against Jackson. We had 2 drives in the second quarter that We had to boot the ball away, and that allowed Jackson to score 19. But for most of the game, their defense played pretty flat-footed, leaving all these receivers open. Their DBs look flustered. I mean, you had Braden Smith running wide open, nobody within 10 yards of him on a little fake screen. So depending on how they play, I mean, they have some dudes who can play ball. I mean, they got Keaton Chapman committed to North Carolina, and they have Juice Gordon committed to North Carolina, and they have a really good linebacker committed to Alcorn State. So, I mean, they have the guys to do it. It just depends on if they can execute and if they can do it.
All right, well, let's move on then. I've got a number 2 seed beating a number 1 seed in that round. I've got Opp moving on from there. Do you think they can do it, Franklin?
Yeah, Opp's a really good school. Like Mitchell said, this would be a good matchup between Opp and
The Patriots, American
Patriots.
Christian.
That's right, yeah. So that should be a good game. I'm excited for that one.
They would have to travel to that one, I think. That's why I've got it lined up like that as far as the helmets. And then we had a bell ring, so we got to get our 2 students to class, and then BD will finish up with us at the very end there. But look at Mobile Christian against Oak Grove. I've got Mobile Christian moving on, and then they have to travel to see us.
Yeah, I really like that. I like that pick a lot. Mobile Christian, huge running attack, but I do agree with BD. I think their depth will catch up to them. Because they might have some guys get banged up in some of these games. I mean, it's just unforeseen circumstances. But I think if Jason Todd Jr. can run the ball for 20, 25, 30 times a game, and if Mobile Christian can, I mean, they didn't throw the ball well against us, but they had some really great throws that led to touchdowns. If they can do that, then I think they can make a really, really good playoff run and see us again in that third round.
Mobile Christian, I was really impressed by the running back. I thought he was very fast.
Yeah.
He might not have been the
Definitely.
Noah Moss kind of player necessarily from a standpoint of if he can't outrun you, Noah's going to go over the top of you, but he was very fast. Very impressed by that. What do you think about that, Franklin?
Yeah, I think with Noah Moss just having an absolute dominant running back, having a lot of good speed, but also a lot of strength. The running back for Mobile Christian's almost like the running back for the Lions in the Detroit. What's his name?
Yeah, Montgomery? Or
Yeah.
Gibbs?
Gibbs. Yes,
Gibbs.
Gibbs. I mean, just absolute speed. Just he gets it outside and he's gone. And so I think a big part of football is getting the outside. But I think strength is going to beat speed every single time. So.
Let's take a look at. I've got now. I want you all to tell me your picks for the. It'd be the semifinal game for the lower bracket here out of the lower 16. I've got Hanley playing St. Michael. That would mean that St. Michael would have to travel to Hanley, and then I've got St. Michael coming out of that going into the championship game December 5th.
Yeah, I love
Your
that.
choice for a championship game of the South bracket.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's St. Michael Hanley. There's just too many times I've seen Jackson come out really flat-footed. For example, WSN, they've only beat him 31-7. Which is
14-7.5.
and no means a bad game from Jackson. It's just you have to come out strong in the first half if you're going to win a football game. I mean, there are times where the second half can change and there can be some things that happen, but you have to come out strong. Your defense has to play well, and they have to play consistently all game. If they're going to play, inconsistently and leave guys open for easy touchdowns and easy, short passes and leave open space and just be vulnerable, then I don't think Jackson can do it. I mean, same goes for Hanley. Hanley is a top 5 defense in the state. I don't think Hanley have any problem, but Jackson had a rough time stopping every single thing that we had thrown at him. So, I mean, Hanley's offensive line is very good. Their blocking tight ends are very good. Their receivers are very good. I think, like Coach Beatty said, if they stick with their bread and butter, I think it's game over from there, and Hanley wins.
When you were filling out a bracket there, Mitchell, did you see Hanley and St. Michael in that top spot there as far as the semifinals?
Yeah, it was either going to be Hanley and St. Michael or Jackson St. Michael. What is Hanley's record on the year?
They lost 2.
They lost 2. They lost to
8-2.
They lost to, I think it was McAddery. I think
So
it was
also
one of the
just
teams.
having good momentum going into is a big part. Jackson also been 8-2 in the year, having some tough losses against Saraland and then St. Michael. So, yeah, it's going to be St. Michael Hanley or St. Michael Jackson. Both really good games.
BD, I don't think you had that as your final 2 games. Tell me what your final 2 games were, and
Well,
then tell me what might win in that.
Well,
matchup.
my final 2 games, I've got Jackson and St. Michael. I can see 2 possible scenarios as we're sitting here discussing. We would host Jackson at home. I feel like this is our year, and you get that feeling sometimes.
Yeah.
The other possible scenario, obviously, Hanley, St. Michael going to Hanley. I think that would be a little bit of a tough one to travel on the road. You hope that everybody has a short memory, but at the same time, you've got a whole group of seniors that have made that trip before and were able to, return the favor to Hanley last year when they came here.
That's right.
And I think that's where that senior leadership comes in. But at the end of the day, no matter, I feel like what two teams are playing in the semifinal of the South bracket, that is the de facto state championship game, as we said
For
last
sure.
year.
I think this year as well.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
there's a few tough teams out of the out of the North, but I truly feel like the champion once again will come out of the South bracket. And you saw what happened to Cherokee County last year.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, like
60 to 3,
it was
I mean.
like 50-something to 0 at halftime. Those dudes didn't even know what hit them when they got off the bus.
Yeah.
You know, I still think they're feeling the effects of that game. But yeah, I think either way, the tale of Jackson, that first round game against Ashford should tell a lot about how their playoff run is going to go. If they come out firing on all cylinders and just blow the doors off of them and can play ahead, then that's something to worry about. But if they struggle and then they're going to, you know, next round have to travel to Hanley, that could be trouble.
Yeah.
BD, if you had the option, would you want to play Hanley away or Jackson at home?
Oh, that's a tough question. If I had the option, I would always want to play at home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Always, if possible. Play at home.
that's what I was thinking too.
Well, I got us traveling. That's just the way I kind of see things
Yeah.
falling together. Everybody fills out a bracket and gets a winner for different reasons.
It's
It's always
Wizard of Oz.
oftentimes a lot of fun. So I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to hold off on the North bracket until that falls into place after next week, and we'll let their first round get into place, and then we'll come down and we'll see who's going to win that. Myself, I got West Morgan and Dressler going into the semifinals, and us playing Deschler, at the end of the season. Just real quick. Championship game. Who plays St. Michael?
I think it's Deschler St. Michael. I mean, West Morgan got away with a close one last week, 13-7. I think Deschler is one of the top teams in the North. You obviously have Cherokee County not having as great a year as they had though last year. There, I think they're the 3 seed up there. But I mean, I think it's going to be Deschler. West Morgan made a good playoff run last year. But I that's just the way I see it. I agree with you, Mr. Tony, on this one, Deschler St. Michael.
Who do you think
in the
comes
state
out of the
championship.
North, Franklin?
Yeah, I agree. I like Deschler too. Just a very dominant team.
Even though they just
outside of-
lost to West Morgan.
Yeah, but where was that game? Where was that game played?
It was at West Morgan.
At West Morgan.
West Morgan.
I think much like St. Michael Jackson,
That semi-championship game
gonna
would be
want
in West Morgan as well.
Jackson's gonna want to come and beat us again in the semifinals. I think Deschler's gonna have that same attitude.
Hamilton, BD, is riding a 36-game regular season winning streak. That's 3.5 years of winning games. Can they put that in the postseason and maybe get to the top? Who do you think's coming out the top?
I'm going to say no to that, even though Hamilton is home to the Donkey Festival. That is true. Don't ask me how. We're passing through on a soccer trip before. That is a true story. But I don't know if it's irony or foreshadowing for the Southern bracket and the Northern bracket. You got 2 teams out of the same region. My money's on Deschler. I mean, these are very realistic and possible scenarios. But like you said, after week 1, we'll see from the Northern bracket.
We'll do another show next week after the 16 or the 32 becomes 16.
Sounds good. Yeah.
And we'll see what kind of my picks have come out of it, and we'll see how the North is coming together as well. So until then, the Wild Cardinal Network will be on the NFHS on Friday live. We've just became an affiliate for that. You will need the app, the NFHS, National Federation of High Schools. You'll need their app to watch the game. However, it will be delayed on YouTube 12 hours later. Saturday morning, we'll put that up for you on the Wild Cardinal Network and YouTube as normal. Sum up the season, 10-win season. Give me 15 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, starting easy with Bayside 41-10, and then ending with UMS, a great less than 2-minute drive, driving 80 yards down to the field on senior night. Just an amazing game. 10-0 in the year, looking go 15-0 in the season.
10-0. Tell me how it goes. 15 seconds.
I mean, you had some really strong wins, sloppy at times, but that last UMS game showed us we're not invincible. And I think this is a good mindset to go into with playoffs, and I think it'll make the boys fired up, and I think we'll be ready to go.
Sum up the season for me, BD.
Another season of first. If you look at last year as a launching pad, the season you had a ton of first. You make it to the semifinals this year. Another season of first. You beat Jackson, and you're going to continue to ride that momentum. And state championship bound game for the Cardinals is my prediction.
It's the next logical step.
That's right.
All right. Join us on the Wild Cardinal Network Friday night, round 1.